Every beloved that is walking this earth is looking for love. Every beloved. Doesn't matter what they look like or what they're doing. Anger is one of these perceptions in the world that evokes a righteousness to retaliate. Retaliation is always in the belief that another can really hurt you. If you could begin in this moment to have the choice to look at humanity, to look at your neighbors, to look at your family, to look at your children, to look at everyone, and recognize that every time someone is upset about anything, it is a cry for help. What is this cry for help, and how can you answer this call? It isn't by joining them in what they think they know in that moment. How can you bring compassion? How can you bring your true love to the moment? By your choice. Your choice is to see the beloved and to see the call for help rather than what you think you know. When you react to another, in that moment you are saying, I'm right. You're choosing to be right rather than joyful. You're choosing to be right rather than peaceful. You're choosing to stay trapped in the agreements of pain and suffering. Who are these miracle workers? Who are these peacemakers that are being called to love? They are every beloved who has heard the call to the spiritual path. Whether you found that calling 30 years ago or just this moment, the call to love and the call to healing is to hear the cry for help of humanity. This is why when you are able to see that the outside world is only a reflection of what you believe, you can no longer then be a victim of the world that you think you see. Everyone in this world has believed that they have been a victim of the world and have spent their entire life trying, desperately sometimes, to try to fix the world. How many times have you thought to yourself, if my mother would just straighten up, I would be so much better. If my partner was more in alignment with what I think and what I want, things would be so much better. Over and over and over again, trying to convince someone else, however you try to convince them, to join you in what you think and what you know. And the true healing is all about letting go. But letting go, when you have built a defense system, that letting go says, if I let go, I'm going to die. If I let go, I'm going to be hurt. If I let go, I don't know who I'm going to be. And there is the call to trust. Many of you have read and studied the teachings of many masters. And all of these masters are always offering you the same teaching. Come here to love and trust. Trusting what you don't know is the giant leap of faith. I often refer to it as being on a trapeze. You're swinging on your trapeze and you're holding on to your identification. The trapeze is your identification. And yet you want a new life. You want a different life than what you've already led. But then you see the trapeze bar coming from the other direction. And you recognize you have to let go of the bar that you're holding on to in order to grab and join the new life. And there's a space there in between. And your mind is saying, no, I have to stay safe. I'm going to stay in what I know, and I'm just going to keep making my little kingdom a little bit better by what I know. But at the end of the day, there is this sense of aloneness. At the end of the day, there is a sense that there's no way that you're ever going to be able to control what keeps changing. Every time you think you have control, everything shifts again. It never works. This is not a condemnation. This is thank God. Thank God that there's another way. Thank God that this is not the truth of who you are or the truth of humanity. What is healing? Healing is remembering. It's letting go of a facade that you have believed yourself to be. It's letting go of a costume that you've worn, a costume that says, I'm separate, a costume that says, I'm alone, a costume that says, I'm unworthy. This is the moment of letting go, of beginning to let go of that identification that you've made. Maybe you've already stepped deeply into that letting go, and you keep finding yourself coming up against the same story, the same walls, over and over. Don't worry about coming up against the same seeming evidence. It will come up over and over again, most of the time, because your strategies, your identification have been like an onion. You've built layers and layers and layers. Every time you thought that you were attacked, every time you thought you were losing something, every time you thought that there was something to defend or protect or fight against, you built another layer. You put on another costume. These costumes are getting heavy. And these costumes can just fall away. But you have to have the willingness. You have to have a dedication within your heart to be healed, to allow the healing of love to transform everything that you thought you knew. This does not mean that you are going to figure out how healing looks or how healing should be. This is about trust, a trusting of the divine alchemy of love. This divine alchemy has no limitation. This divine alchemy of love is the complete spirit of love that is always serving humanity. You can't see it, you can't taste it, and you can't know it. The recognition of the spirit of love comes when you let go of knowing. You're joining with the truth of who you are. This is the call. Your heart is willing. There is always that little willingness within your heart. Keep tapping into that little willingness and keep surrendering into the hands of love everything that you thought you knew, and allow the divine alchemy of love to transform the perceptions of limitation. This is your service to humanity. If you've ever wondered about how you could serve humanity, this is the way. The refusal to see enemies in the world and the refusal to see an enemy within. To accept that you are the divine, complete expression of love. This is all that you have ever been. This is your eternal truth. Open, open to this truth. All of love is waiting for you to join in the truth of who you are.